One of my most memorable nights at intern year this year at TMC was a call night in the fall. We had just finished eating dinner, and me and my second year Bob Wang and the co-intern Kenny Okola, we had retired back to the call room after dinner. We hadn't had any patients yet, so Bob broke out his meal that his mom had cooked him the night before, and he started eating and telling us a story. As most of you guys know, Bob, he has quite a bit of an accent, and if you don't catch his story right at the beginning, you can get lost and you can never catch up. So this happened to be on this occasion, and I decided to start surfing the internet. About 3 hours later, I was just finishing up my 6th game of Yahoo Spades, and I happened to look over and see Kenny. He was passed out on the couch with drool coming out of his mouth, and Bob was still telling his story, stopping only to laugh at himself every once in a while. At that point, I decided to retire for the night. And about 6 hours later, I woke up and came back into the call room, and I noticed that Kenny was still passed out with the same drool coming out of his mouth. And Bob was sitting in the same place eating breakfast at this time, but I think telling the same story and stopping only to laugh at himself as he was the night before. At that point, I stopped Bob and I said, Bob, what are you doing? He's like, I was talking to you guys all night. And I said, Bob, no one's been listening to you the whole time. And he sort of gives me this look and this smile that everyone knows Bob has, and he says, let's go around on some patients.
Okay, so my story is from when I was in the emergency department on my emergency rotation. I think a lot of the best stories probably come from there. When patients come to the emergency room, they put their chief complaint on a paper in the triage area, and then they send them back to see the doctor. So when I saw this patient's chief complaint, it said, I need a new backpack. And I thought, that's a really weird chief complaint. It can't possibly be right. He must have like abdominal pain or something. So I went to see the patient, and sure enough, he was a homeless guy in a wheelchair, and he wanted us to give him a new backpack, and that was really the only reason he had presented to the emergency department in the first place. So I took his history and his physical, and I went back and I saw my attending, Dr. Carey, and I gave my presentation, and Dr. Carey said, come with me. So we went back to the patient's room, and Dr. Carey said, how many packs of cigarettes do you smoke a day? The patient said, between 2 and 3. So Dr. Carey said, well, that's about $4 per pack of cigarettes, times 3 a day, $12 a day. I figure if you stopped smoking for 4 days, you could probably get yourself a pretty nice backpack. So have a good day, sir. I thought that was a pretty good answer to the patient's question, but apparently the patient wasn't so satisfied with it because he wound up defecating in the waiting room 3 times on the way out.
So during my VA month, I was taking care of this late 70s guy with bad congestive heart failure, and at the time he couldn't even move around without getting short of breath. And I was excited when I was on cardiology the next month because he was coming in for a follow-up. So when I saw him, I said, hey, you're looking good. How do you feel? And he said, I feel great. And I said, well, be more specific. What do you mean? Can you walk around? I mean, are you not as short of breath? And he said, well, I think I can kick your ass right now. And I said, well, you must be feeling pretty good then.
My story is, just to kind of sum up my intern year, I think of it as a uh-oh moment and an aha moment. My uh-oh moment was when my first month as a doctor, as an intern at the VA, first day I'm handed 10 patients, and they're like, go. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? Oh my gosh. Needless to say, it was a rough month, and I look back at it as the worst month of my life. My aha moment was, I just finished surgery. The whole year you think you're totally inadequate, you don't know what you're doing. And then finally I reached a point where I'm on call, I'm by myself, I have a really sick patient, and I was able to take care of him. So Dr. Kent's always asking, can you take care of a sick patient? So I want to say, Dr. Kent, yeah, I can take care of a sick patient. So that's my aha moment.
So this might be one of those 3 a.m. stories. You know, the ones that are only funny at 3 a.m. when you've had no sleep. But it was 3 a.m. It was in the emergency department. A woman came in with infection, pyelonephritis, kidney infection. And I asked her, so do you have fevers and chills? Yes. Do you have shakes? No, I don't drink those anymore. I looked at her, she looked at me, she says, you mean ice cream, right? And I'm like, we just started laughing out loud. It was hilarious. One of those rare funny moments in the ED.
I remember one experience at TMC that I'll never forget. Going into anesthesiology, we're asked often, when's the cutoff for eating before procedure? Well, on my ENT rotation, we were called in to do a tracheostomy on a patient who happened to be 895 pounds. And we asked him about that same question, you know, when was the last time you had something to eat and what was it? He informed us that that morning he had had 12 Big Macs. We weren't really that surprised. Procedure went as planned and luckily everything worked out okay, but that's one I'll never forget.
Hey, Scott, wake up.
Oh, hey, who told you I was here? How'd you find me?
What time is it anyways?
It's time for a story, Scott.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, it's been a great year, and to be honest, I can't think of one story that stands out above the others because there's just been lots of great moments and good times here. I've really appreciated all the attendings I've worked with and been really fortunate to work in this program. I've really enjoyed every day of it, actually. Can't say I've had a terrible day, but I've had lots of great ones. If you'll excuse me, I think I'm going to get back to my nap now.